racist society. To deny that there's racism in America is just ignorant. So there's a little bit of racism, like the Avenue Q show says, in everybody. And when it rears its ugly head, we're all quick to point the finger at the other person and to defend ourselves as I don't and I never would and I'm above it, where it's part of the human experience. It's part of human existence. People...
So what are you saying?
But it shouldn't be on the level that Imus is speaking. It shouldn't be there. There's a responsibility that comes across. When he was originally given that 2-week suspension, in my mind, that's like a tease. It's like the football season ends, 2 weeks later is the Super Bowl. Puts a thirst in people's mouths. So people would even want to hear him more than they did before. After those 2 weeks, they'd be waiting to see what happened at that meeting he's having with the players.
If you go in to see a slasher movie and you come out and cry that there was too much blood, whose fault is it for going into the slasher movie?
So you're saying that with Imus, his listeners should expect that he would make bigoted remarks and racist remarks?
I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying he has a history of doing that for 40 years, and I think that this, just like Anna Nicole's baby, is taking us away from the real people we should be thinking about. Alberto Gonzalez! Why isn't he fired?
Well, he's coming out.
Wait a second, let me ask you this. We always talk about holding two thoughts at the same time, two opposing thoughts at the same time, two conflicting thoughts at the same time. Why can't we think about both? Why can't we think about stomping on racism and people who make those remarks on a public platform?
Because one is an entertainer and the other is the head of the judicial branch of democracy.
But he's being treated that way.
But the only show that's actually, you know, a kudos to you guys, the only show that's actually holding two thoughts at any one time seems to be you guys.
That's right, Rose.
Bravo, Rose!
You guys are doing the back and forth. There does not seem to be, it's wall-to-wall coverage of, I watched the news actually last night, and I was hoping to see something, just maybe 12 seconds on Iraq. No, it was Anna Nicole Baby Daddy, and it was Don Imus, and then I think there was lunchtime facelift, and then the weather.
Yes.
And that was it. And it actually almost made me cry because of it.
All the troops, 140,000 troops, their tours were extended for 3 more months. Does anyone care that these 145,000 men and women will be risking their lives for 3 more months, or do you care more about what Don Imus says in the morning?
They do care. It's just that what can you do? You can talk about this more than that. Those
Especially
guys,
if you're a black American.
I've been reading now that a lot of these guys who have 3 tours to do, they come back home and they don't go back. They're going AWOL. There's a lot of that going on right now.
Because it's a backdoor draft.
Well,
that's what it is.
You can't get out. Say that. Because, well, I think because they know they're not really, oh, really? You're going to get off in January, you know, 2008 now. They all know that's maybe not true. You know. But I think, you know, the thing with what's really interesting about this particular war, this is the first time in history, there are no pictures of any bodies coming home in coffins. There's no flag-draped coffin. We see no images. You know, the British press give celebrities hell. Horrible. But one thing they do not print the regurgitated crap that the government spins on the front page and just lets it out. They actually say, this is right, and it could have been Clinton. Because they know that's not true. No, this is true. They
British press, really?
They really take them to task. They really take their politicians to task. They do not do that if they hear, oh, okay, really? Thank you, because basically you're controlling the entire media by saying we're not going to allow you to have any photographs of it. So in actuality, yes, we're talking about Don Imus, but then she's talking about that, but it's kind of maybe the only airing that they get per day that there's a representation of them over there.
I tend to hear about the war in the media. I tend to see it on the news, and I tend to read about it in the paper.
But you see the pro-war news on Fox.
Absolutely, absolutely not. That is, first of all, that is, although I am a fan of Fox News Channel, hang on, hold up. I would throw the yellow flag. That is not the only news channel that I watch. I watch everything
out there. Where else do you see the news talked about, where the war talked about in a current...
CNN, MSNBC, I read a plethora of newspapers.
Have you seen any wounded soldiers? Have you seen any of the amputees on TV on a regular basis or once?
You see them in Newsweek or Time.
You see them on specials more than every time.
Do you remember when Ted Koppel read the names of the dead and he was in trouble for reading the names of the dead? He was the first and the bravest journalist here on this network to actually say, I'm going to do it. I'm going to read the names.
Repression by the administration.
And it's still here, Joy. That's my point.
If we get back to for a moment, though, you're talking about
these break, but we're going to come back.
Right. It's like, to me, the same thing as the people behind their computer who can just say evil things about people all day long because you're completely protected.
It's cowardly in a way.
Yeah, they write to me a lot.
They think, you know,
Rosie, you're fat and gay, you're a loudmouth, you're un-American, send. You know, I'm like, oh, God.
You're like, I'm always like, yeah.
Well, look at the gay community. Ann Coulter made some kind of a nasty anti-gay remark.
Well, not just Ann Coulter. What about the head general? He said all gays were immoral. Pace, and no one said boo. And this is an administration. This is part of the administration, not an entertainer.
Yeah, but you can't get rid of him for that. I mean,
if he's basing it on his moral beliefs, then if it's based on religion, I think there's
no
separation of church and state, my friend.
They asked him, though. They asked him.
Right, but he represents the government.
Stick to don't ask, don't tell.
Right. He represents the government. He's part of this administration, and he gets out there and says that gay people are immoral, innately immoral. There is nothing you can do to be redeemed in this man's eyes, right? Part of the administration, no problem.
So because there's nothing that man could be redeemed about in my eyes. There's nothing about that man that could be redeemed in my eyes.
I agree, General Pace. I agree.
Would you have him fired based on that?
I believe
he was a great general.
Listen to me. I believe in free speech. I believe in freedom of speech in America. I have to say, we have been systematically dismantling the Constitution since 9/11 with the Patriot Act. I am a fan of free speech, and I hate bigotry, and I hate the political correct atmosphere that makes everyone now walk around like the McCarthy era. Oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. I better not question. I better not say anything. You know, they might out your wife, a CIA agent.
Yeah. I think it's fine to question. I think it's absolutely fine to question what's going on. We should question what's going on in this war. Politicians, John McCain has been questioning this war from day one, saying, you know, we didn't handle it properly. You know, now with this new surge, he's questioning it now and realizing that it's actually working right now. It's still so early, and there's so many doubts. There's evidence out there that it is actually, they're making some progress, and the fact that we're not just going in with the surge and retreating is big.
John McCain is going down in the polls.
You know what? Let me tell you why, because John McCain is willing to lose this election and win the war. That is why. And other people out there would rather win the election and lose the war.
A civil war in a country that you do not live in? We are occupying that nation illegally. It's an illegal occupation. That's not what we do in America.
And we need to be there right now. If we are not there, we are going to leave a vessel for terrorists to just take over.
You need to do it this
one at a time.
Iran is going to be in there if we are not.
But Elizabeth, do you understand that the tactic of fear is used by this administration to immobilize us?
I do not feel that way.
I feel that way.
I do not feel that way.
I feel that way very strongly.
You will be living in a world of fear if Iran steps into Iraq.
One at a time, girls.
Ever since this government told me to put duct tape and have saran wrap, I felt very safe with this administration.
Yes, right. We're in trouble, and the towers came down by duct tape. Remember that?
You know, it's not just that. It's going back to...
A lot of people were trying to make us feel safe at that time. I think people felt comfort in the fact that they went out and gave us things to do.
When I was a child, we had to go under the desk in case a nuclear bomb fell.
Cover, I remember.
Things have not changed that much. Yeah. That's all.
All I can say this, you know, faith or fear, there's one choice, and a government that leads with fear and tries to scare its own citizens should be really, really looked at closely.